Okay, cool. We're recording. All right, welcome back. It's Ashley back again, and I'm joined by Csaba today. Thank you very much. Pleased to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, pleasure, mate. My pleasure. I've been looking forward to this. It's been interesting couple of weeks trying to get it lined up, but I'm looking forward to it. Before we delve into wherever we're going to delve into, I always ask my guests to give a bit of context about who they are, and, how you got to be where you are now. So if you wouldn't mind, over to you, please.
Okay, so I was born in Hungary and I spent half of my life there. I had no idea what to do, so I studied Italian. I got a master's in linguistics, and I came to the UK with technically no transferable skills in 2004. And just like most of my colleagues, I started doing whatever I could to fend for myself. After 3 years, I went to uni. I got another master's in international management, and I specialized in Eastern and Western European joint ventures. Got a good grade. It was great. And then I started my own company, which was a restaurant booking site. You book a table, we get the money. That's the business model, but it was more original than that. We started with 35 restaurants here in Brighton. And in 1 year, we had 5,500 all over the UK. It became the fastest growing and biggest restaurant listing. And also it turned into a joint venture with a software company. On paper, everything made sense. In real life, I couldn't stand the other CEO who was fine.
Okay.
So we got to the point where we had to get out of the business. It is still online, but we are not involved anymore.
Okay.
And that's when I started my research, because I didn't understand how come that was the exact topic of my dissertation. That department itself is #1 in the world in its category. I had years of experience, but I couldn't put that theory into practice. So I got certified in a lot of different things, and I wanted to understand what went wrong and how I could fix it. And the result of that research is a framework called Global DISC, which is now ICF accredited, and we work with over 100 licenses in 38 countries, the European Parliament, Fortune 500 companies, 10 universities, and a lot of other organizations.
Nice, cool. I love it. I find your story fascinating as well. Literally the courage to leave that success that you had. How did that feel at the time when you were, because arguably you could have just ridden it out and been super successful, but it just something didn't sit right.
I think you can deny your values and or your psychological needs for a while, but for how long? It's going to come out somewhere. And we tend to ignore these yellow signs from life, and then it's just getting stronger and stronger, and then life slaps you in the face and, hey, focus. And that's when we had to get out of the business. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't anything spiritual or I want to change the world. No. People learn from mistakes, and the best solutions are born out of frustration and pain. And, I had a fair share of success and failures as well. And that's how it started. So the packaging now is so much better than it felt that time.
And I get it. And it isn't it? Values keeps coming up for a lot recently. It's it's popular now, isn't it? Quite rightly, because there's far too many people living in or working in this environment that is toxic for them because they're just not in alignment with their values anymore. But they stick it through, and then they wonder why they're not happy.
And often they don't even know what their own values are. And I think that's a problem. So often, for example, companies create this almost like a corporate Tinder profile. That, this is who we are. This is a big mission statement. Guys, come here. We believe in people and innovation. And then you apply for a job, you get it, you try to innovate, you make a mistake, and don't ever do that. So there's a big discrepancy between the projected values and the actual norms.
Yeah.
And the other option is that the candidates would say anything to get the job.
Of course.
Or maybe they are not even aware of it. And then for a while you can pretend, but under pressure, the real personality is going to come out. And then you have to face reality.
Yeah, absolutely right. So there's a couple of things that I want to explore with you, but before we sort of go down that avenue, my first and only question that I always ask anyone is what about human performance, and I've mentioned to you that. So what does human performance mean to you, and sort of what do you do when you do what you do?
I read a definition somewhere, I can't remember who said it, that fitness is the ability to take care of what matters to you. And if you look at it this way, then pretty much that's human performance. You have to have the energy and the ability to take care of what matters. But what is that exactly? And can you do it when you're running low on energy?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tap into something that, yes, let's do it? And often this is a joke at home, that at home, for example, I'm tired and I'm no energy at all. And then my wife asks me, so how are you going to do that podcast? Or how are you going to do that workshop? I said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I can do it. If I collapse dead after that, I still can do it. But I do my best.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you enjoy what you do, it comes naturally. But it's difficult to find it. And for some people, it's almost like a spiritual Russian roulette. You find it or you don't. You don't know. How can you find something if you're not aware of it?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not exposed to those challenges and opportunities, you don't know if you are gifted at something. You don't know if you like it.
Yeah.
How do you know that you are gifted at swimming if you've never been in water?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's difficult. So when we get a lot of experiences, then we realize, yeah, I like this, I don't. Oh, wait, let me get into this. But if you stay in your comfort zone, maybe you never find your purpose.
True. I can definitely attest to that. And I think, you know, you've said it numerous occasions now, the self-awareness, you know, that it's everything that I say. It's probably the most important thing. If you don't understand yourself, how the hell can you understand other people? Yeah. Or lead them or help them? Do you know what I mean? So if you're in this position of leadership, but you're totally blind to your own awareness, you know, you don't even know you, but you're supposed to be leading others, you know. And you know what you do with the global disc, that's exactly, you know, it helps you to understand, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because 95% of our actions are driven by values and beliefs we are not even aware of, but we think that we are so objective and logical. So we have this illusion that I know exactly who I am. No, I know my habits.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know my needs and desires, but not the underlying values and drivers. That's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I call global disc the blueprint. So it doesn't take away the uniqueness, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
We are all unique, but we are predictably different. So that's almost like just a little help to go deeper and deeper. And then you find out about your psychological needs and values. And then you can decide if you use this behavior to reflect your values and support your needs. Is that supporting you? Is that serving you? Or it's a bad habit? So you can change it to a more empowering one. But if you try to change behavior without updating and upgrading your identity, that's not going to be sustainable, not on an individual level and not on a corporate level either.
So what can we do? What's some hints and tips and tools that we can do to raise our awareness of our behaviors, of why we do what we do?
Maybe it sounds a bit cheesy, but the assessments are important, especially if you get the right one. And especially if you use it properly. So instead of taking an assessment and you think, oh, I'm a red person, so I can be rude. No, that's even worse. And this is what people do. That they use it as an excuse. So we call it a personality trap. Because if you don't know about it, you know, maybe we can forgive you. But if you know about it and use it as excuse, that's bad. That's really bad. Don't do that. And when we talk to clients and they said, oh, I did this assessment and I am a yellow person. What do you do with it? That's my question. Because when they say that, oh, it's about putting people in categories. No, it's not true. The way I see global disc is that you learn how to speak different languages. And you can use the one that connects with the other person and also with yourself. So for example, if you take a course, like a standard disc or any psychometric assessment, then you learn about how to manage the different personality types in a team. But they don't teach you how to manage those voices in your head. So that's why in global disc, the percentage is so important. Because if you have like a CI profile with completely opposing preferences, sometimes people think they are bipolar. We had a client who thought, I'm a bipolar. So if you don't know about this topic, you are Googling bipolar. What is that? Oh, I've got that. And she lost a lot. And once she understood that this can be her superpower, she makes it intentional, everything changed. But how do you find something if you don't know you're missing it? That's the real problem. That's why I publish the book. That's why I do the webinars. That's why I do the podcast. So people can read it, they listen to it, and they are looking for the right solution. If they disagree with me, even better, do your own research. Then my job is done. As long as people become curious, do it for yourself so you can make better decisions.
I agree with you. You've already mentioned it. Go on, what's the title of the book? I know, but obviously for everybody else.
The Uncommon Sense in Unusual Times. And that is almost like an investment in the future because it comes with £500 worth of resources. So if somebody buys the book, they get the assessment, they get an interactive learning platform, they get a certificate at the end, And also they can join our Facebook group. So I try to facilitate this journey. Because one assessment, one workshop is not going to do anything.
No.
It's a journey, and I want to facilitate it.
Absolutely. It is, right. And having done a few assessments over my time, there is that danger, and I'm working with clients at the moment where they use it as an excuse. And it's that, and when worse is when other people use it as an excuse for that individual. It's like, no, that's okay, or he or she is like that because they're this. And we accept it. It's like, no. If you're an ass, you're an ass. You know, you can't be justified.
Yeah. You shouldn't discriminate. Anybody can be like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Go into a little bit about the culture, though, because that's what I like about what you do. It's the culture that we're in, and the environment that we're in.
What is your definition of culture? How would you define it?
Oh, wow, good question. Something along the lines of the socially accepted way of doing things in that certain time or boundary that we put around things. And so it's fluid and it's emergent. It's never really static, in my opinion.
Okay, so technically there are more than 5,000 different definitions, and we can overcomplicate it. But the definition we use, that it's a group habit driven by values and beliefs.
Yeah,
that's it. It's a group habit. So you might say that it's based on approval and acceptance, but not always. Because what happens, for example, if you go to a new place, a church, a job, or anything, you don't know what to do. You look around, you copy the behavior. So you feel accepted. You have no idea why they do it, and probably they don't know that either. But it feels comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's why we focus on the 3 different layers: what you do, how, and most importantly, why. And often, for example, trainers and coaches claim that you cannot compare personality and culture. And usually by culture, they mean nationality. So, it's the wrong question. There's no right answer. And it also implies this illusion of separation. 2 different topics. It's like comparing apple and pears. Not really. Because if you look at the superficial layer of diversity, then yes, I understand that is what you think. Yeah. But if you look at the only layer of diversity that has proven benefit in terms of performance, which is cognitive diversity, then yes, you can indeed, you have to. You cannot even separate them. Because your personality determines how you want to behave, and your environment, we can call it culture, determines how you should or technically have to behave. Yeah. And that's exactly what we measure. We measure your personal preferences, and then we can compare it to what is normal around you. Yeah. That's what matters. Everything is relative. So instead of talking about personality and culture, how about talking about individual and group mindset? So you can see immediately they are compatible. Yeah. Absolutely. One is not complete without the other one.
Yeah, I like that explanation. It's really cool. I like as well what you touched on there, the diversity, and you're 100% right. A lot of organizations are doing diversity wrong because they're doing it on superficial. What does our team look like physically? Yeah. Different age, color, gender, ability, blah, 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 whatever. And I have this discussion on countless times with people that it's irrelevant, because you could have 4 different people that look physically different. Yeah. And so you may think they're diverse. Yeah. However, all 4 people grew up in the same estates, had similar backgrounds, similar wealth, went to the same school, went to the same college, same university, and got the same job in the same organization. So their cognitive diversity it's not there. They'll think the same way and probably give you the same perspectives of viewing situations, where that's what organizations really want, is that cognitive diversity of thought, to help them see the picture as clearly as they can, or from different perspectives as they can.
I think the danger is when we turn it into a choice. Which one is more important? It depends on the topic, because the visible layer of diversity is really important in terms of equal opportunities. That is very important. But assuming that if I bring more nationalities and ethnicities to my team, then immediately the performance is going to go up, that is not true at all. Yes. But the problem is that if you look at the big data, if you're looking for something for long enough, you're going to find it anyway. So if you look at the McKinsey report, for example, they said that according to their research, ethnically diverse companies are 35% more productive than the homogeneous one. So, you know, you look at it and, more ethnicity. So I need even more, then I can outperform everyone. But if you're aware of this topic and you know that the number one trait of high-performing teams is psychological safety, second one is cognitive diversity, then you realize that those companies are probably much more psychologically safe and inclusive than others. That's why they attract more diversity. It's not the other way around. So if you try to increase diversity without understanding inclusion, you are looking for trouble. But if you get inclusion right, diversity is going to increase automatically.
Absolutely.
But that's more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, another super valid point of the inclusion. You know, it's all well and good having diverse, whether it be physically or cognitively. If you never include it in the conversation, then it's wasted.
Yeah.
And again, you know, there's a lot of conversation with some supposedly high-performing organizations that are struggling with this. You know,
I think often the intention is good, but we have to make a distinction between diversity for HR or diversity for PR.
Yeah.
So, you know, often they have the best intention, and it's easier to measure a full range of skin colors and, you know, all the minorities.
Yes.
Because you can take a picture, it looks good on the website, and it is important. So sometimes when I talk about cognitive diversity, people say, oh, for you, that's not important. No, it is. That's why I'm talking about this, because these are the invisible forces that can make or break a team. And that's why it's so important.
No, I 100% agree with you. You know, I'm not trying to say that the physical diversity is not important. 100% agree. But, you know, if you want true diversity, then you need to, it's a both, isn't it? It's an and, not an or. Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree.
It's almost like, you know, if I don't want to get the job because I'm from Hungary, I don't want to be the diversity hire, but I don't want to be rejected for it either.
Yeah.
And there should be the balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some interesting research in there for recruitment agencies and all that kind of talent spotters. It's an absolute on the point topic at the moment, especially with the stuff that we're going through right now. Again, that diversity and inclusion, if you have all this diversity in your organization, how are we ensuring that we're including it in this all speaking to a bloody camera environment that we are right now, and probably going to continue for the foreseeable future to a certain extent?
Yeah. It's not easy because, you know, diversity is pretty awesome until somebody disagrees with you. And what then? But that's exactly where the potential lies. And that's what we have to focus on. Diversity is the potential for success or disaster.
Yeah.
It depends on how much you understand yourself and others. But for most people, this is not natural. You see the world from your own perspective. It kept you alive. Why would you doubt it? It's something we need to learn. How to see the same situation from different perspectives so we can make better decisions. And this is pretty much the definition of uncommon mindset. Because cultural differences are just clashes of common senses. And if that's how you look at it, then you can remove this illusion of superiority that I'm right, you're wrong. I win, you lose, and I have to prove it. I want to be right. I don't care about the truth. I want to be right. I cannot lose face. And this is what happens most of the time. So you have the potential in the team. For example, the Three Circle partners did a research in the US. They are the ones who created the Belbin model. They wanted to understand how come you put smart people in a team and they deliver only a fraction of the results they are capable of instead of creating synergy. Why is that? How much potential is lost? So they gave an individual assessment to each member of the team. They scored them individually and they had to submit one collectively. And then they measured the group average and then the best possible individual score. And there was a big gap. So they repeated it hundreds of times. And the average gap was 79%.
Wow.
That's how much potential is lost in the team. So the question is, when you have a client, you can ask them, is it 90% in your team or is it 50%? What you can pretty much guarantee is that there's a lot of money left on the table, so much potential. And also it's a positive approach. You're not telling them that, guys, you're not really good. You've got issues. No, you're awesome. And you still have so much more potential, but it's lost because of the interaction gap. And 90% of business is interaction between people who think and behave differently. And this is what we address.
That's brilliant. And I can concur and agree with you wholeheartedly. It's we do peak performance in my company, and me as a peak performance coach. And people often come with problems. I'm like, no. Like, let's look at the opportunities. Like, what are you good at, and let's dial that up. Yeah, and everything else will come. Will sort of improve as a consequence of it. But again, the other thing that you just said about people, the machines haven't taken over yet, and they won't do for a long, long time. And so organizations need to understand that people are the only asset that they've got.
Yeah.
And, and you need, that's how you develop peak performing teams and organizations, is understanding that concept and leading efficiently and being that, exactly like you say, considering different perspectives as a leader. That's what you should be doing. You've got X amount of perspectives sat around the table with you. They're the ones that you've employed for a reason. Let them give you the perspectives.
Yep.
And you as the leader make the decision based on what the information you've got.
That's the ideal situation. But often the leaders are not self-aware, or maybe are not confident. And then they cannot really accept it. So the potential is there. And that's why we talk about self-inclusion. That you know exactly who you are, what you stand for, and you're okay with it. If you can do that, you can be inclusive towards others.
Yeah.
But most people are struggling with that. So they overcompensate, or they have to bully someone to feel important. Or the exact opposite. They have to hide to feel safe.
Yes.
So there's no shortcut. Everything starts with us.
Cool. We've touched on a lot of deep topics there. What's your final parting sort of topic you want to leave us on to make us think about what we're doing?
Usually when I talk to people, then they think I would love to talk about global disc. And that's not exactly true. To me, the most important part is the uncommon mindset, the way of thinking. Global disc is the technology behind it to make it work. Yeah. But if you don't have the right mindset, it doesn't matter what kind of tools you have. You're not going to use it. And at the same time, we have to make this process as uncomplicated and practical as possible. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. I think it was Peter Kronz who said that being right is the poor person's version of self-worth, which is a complicated sentence, but we can see that around us. When you say, yeah, I was right, but did you get what you wanted? No, but I was right.
Yeah.
So, well done. So here's the question. Do you want to be right, or you want to grow? If there's a disagreement, then it shouldn't be a binary decision. Is it yours or is it mine? But this is where the language is important. Just ask yourself and the other person, is there an even better way of doing things? If that's yours, great. If it's mine, fantastic. If it's a combination, so good. I don't have to be right. But is there an even better way of doing things?
Yeah.
And you can ask yourself as well, not just other people. And that's how we can level up gradually, because it makes more sense to walk today so we don't have to run tomorrow.
I love that. Thank you very much. That's made me thinking now. That's a really cool way to think on. I appreciate that. Where can everybody find some more information about you? And also I'll put whatever links that you suggest into the footnotes as well.
I'm happy to connect with everyone who is interested in this topic on LinkedIn. So just send me an invite. That's the best way, or ICQ.global, that's the website.
Yeah.
Or we have, for example, the next Uncommon Mindset Bootcamp coming up at the end of April.
Yeah.
That's 4 days, 4 times 90 minutes, Monday to Thursday. It's heavy, but that's why it's like a bootcamp, because after that, people just think, wow, so there's more to life. And then they can start. So you get the techniques, the strategies, and the insights to level up, because most of the opportunities, time and energy, are lost for 2 reasons. One is friction with people who think and behave differently.
Yep.
The other one is friction with ourselves, self-sabotage. So we address both of them at the same time.
Cool. I saw the feedback off your last one, and it sounds amazing. Where can we get the details for that, for the bootcamp?
I'm going to send you the Eventbrite page.
Okay, cool. And I'll put that on the footnotes.
Thank you.
Csaba, thank you very much for taking the time for this record this conversation with me. It's absolutely fantastic. I love everything that you're doing right now, and I'm sort of pleased that we've been able to share this with other people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.